Welcome to crystals. I'm not sure what number. It says 109, but I'm pretty sure we're like 111, pretty sure. And there's some rules that not rules, there's some guidelines that I give in the beginning, and then there's some information that I give every week, because it's important information for people who are new, and it's also good for all of us to remember. So please don't ask questions, just write them down, and after the recording's over, I will address them. I'll go over it, but I'm not able to, so no questions, please. And then we're going to go over what I call the 3 C's and an I guess, 3 C's and an I, and that's choosing, cleansing, and charging. And so with crystals, and then there's also like choosing the crystal. Many people have ideas. When you choose a crystal, just find the ones that wink at you. Don't worry about, like, if you have something that you really want and you've done the research, and that's fine. I think that's great as well. But many times the stone that you need, the stone that'll work the best for you, is the one that's this was the one that was winking at me this morning. And we'll be talking about it after we go over the energy center. And it has to be that kind of wink, that kind of vibe. That's one of the best ways to choose. People ask all the time, where do you get crystals? And yesterday I went to the Denver Gem and crystal gem and fossil show. And there's 12 miles of booths, of which I did 3.5. And then I fizzled out before I did the 3. Like about an hour in, I was like fizzling out. So I was talking to Tanya, I think, about it, might have been Jordy, about how the more sensitive you become, the more that you pick up what's around you. And then, so like choosing crystals, if the more sensitive you become, the more that your hand is able to connect to things, and you can hold it and get a feel for what it needs, what it might carry, and that easement that you might need. Choosing, you can go to rock shops. There are some really good things online on Facebook where they have sort of bidding, or sometimes they have lives. Those can be very good. Always feel free to ask if it's, where they're getting the crystals from. Never feel that that's not an okay question. It's a perfectly valid question. Who's your distributor? How do you get these crystals? Because you don't want crystals, A, that are fake, and B, you don't want crystals that have been unethically, kids working in a mine pulling out crystals or something like that. So that's choosing. And then cleansing. So there are many ways to cleanse crystals. Water is not one that I use. People can, but it's really, you have to memorize who can handle water and who can't. And my hard drive is too full for that. So I just don't, as a rule. So satin spar / selenite. I will probably continue to call it selenite, even though it is satin spar. The difference is selenite is clear, and satin spar is the white one that we, well, not in reach, the one that we see the most of. And they both have the same properties. Chemically, if you look at them, they are the same. There's just some different slight impurities that come in that cause one to be cloudy and striped, and the other one to be more intact, or, but they both will clean your crystals. So when you buy a crystal and you come home, if you have some selenite, you can put it on the selenite, usually for at least a couple hours, if not 24 hours, just to give it time to clean up. That's one way to clean crystals. Another way is with smoke, whether it's incense or other, I have a little frying pan that I put charcoal and I put resin in it, and that can clean. Recently, I've just been using incense, and but that's a really good way that'll clean it. Obviously, with crystals, you are holding things in your mind. So if you're using smoke and it's coming up, you are thinking that this is going to help clean the crystal. This is going to bring it back to the connection that it has on the planet, and not all the other people that have handled it on the way to you. Because there's the postman, there's the, one seller, there's the all the different people that handle it may have put a little bit of their connection. So you want to clean that out. So it's smoke, sound. I have a Tibetan singing bowl that, especially for small ones, I put it in, and I'll ring it, and it'll, like, you'll know it's clean when the sound carries out. It usually takes 3 or 4 strikes or hits or whatever you want to call it, sounds, till it gets this pitch. If you have a big stone and you're trying to clean it, you put it next to your singing bowl, again, it will sound a little fuzzy. And then as the sound goes through it, it'll get clearer and clearer. And so you'll have a moment of knowing that that's, that it's clean. What else have I forgotten? You can bury it in the earth. I don't do this one because then it's got dirt all over it, and I haven't figured out a good way to get dirt off without water. So I don't bury, but many, many people bury, especially tumbles can be very good to bury. And if you bury it, again, leave it 24 hours. And breath is another way that you can clean. You have to find that place inside, that settlement inside, and then you can blow. And when you're blowing, you are blowing out the connections and allowing it to be clean. I'm not going to do that here because that'll take a little bit too much time. And I know I'm missing one.
Tuning fork.
Tuning fork is awesome. Yes, sound. That it's the same principle, that you'll hear it. You can put it next to it, and then when it rings through, you'll know that it's clean. And that's what we'll go through today. I can't remember. I'm missing one, but that's okay.
The moonlight?
Yes, thank you. So moonlight and sunlight, a lot of people use that for charging, which is absolutely valid, but it's also useful for cleaning. If you live in a north-facing room and you don't get to go outside and put your crystals outside, or if it's raining and cloudy, you can still put your crystals on the windowsill or in a place, knowing that the moon and sun will shine through. They don't just stop on a wall or stop because of clouds. They shine through, and they will continue to clean. I've heard lots of different amounts of time. The only caution I have is that with sunlight, there's certain crystals like fluorite that are very sensitive and can fade very quickly. So sunlight, usually about 2 hours is good if you're having direct sun. Obviously, if it's inside, then you can put the sunlight and go to work and come back. And they should be feeling clean. You should feel a difference. And then, so, okay, that's 2. Charging. Again, charging moon and sun are both 2 ways to charge a crystal. You can charge it on your altar if you have one. You can charge it. You can hold it. And this is where I said, this is where the intention goes into it, because when you're charging them, if it's for a specific purpose or a specific work, then you want to, you can hold it and charge it and have that intention in mind. Again, if you're using the moon or sun for charging, it's again the intention. You put what you feel, what you need, what's the important part of it for you at this time. Then you can hold it. Sunlight, moonlight, and incense can also help charge it. Again, what's causing it to be charged for the most part is your intention. That is, so if you just stick the crystal on your windowsill, and don't put any, I want this to be charged, or I want this to be cleansed. It has to be intention. Intention is the most important signal that we have with crystals. And then we're just about to get into things, but there's the size issue. So it does not matter what size. In this case, size does not matter, because when you are holding a smaller tumble or a chip, you can hold that and you can connect to the veins in the planet that are the same stone. And so you will pick that up. Now, size, technically doesn't matter, but there's, when you get really nice big ones and stuff, it's pretty cool. So size does matter at that point, but in terms of working with crystals, size does not matter. You have a bead, that's fine. That's actually fine. So no pressures on that. And then the one thing, I think I forgot this last week, is we want to, and we're doing this work, and I mentioned it in the cleanup and stuff, is we want our hands to become awake. We want our hands to become more sensitive. There are many different ways. Again, it's intention that helps. And so, like, you can clap, you can get it going. There are 2 energy centers in the palm, which is why when I was putting the rocks and I was putting it in my palm. And you can start, I don't tap, I don't pat my hands or anything, because I just ask my hands for sensitivity. And then, but as you're learning, you can start to build energy. You can start to feel energy between your hands, and then you can get it bigger. You can make a ball. You can do, where you start to feel it. And this is sensitizing your hands, is the same part as being able to feel your aura. be able to feel the different levels, starting with the auric sheath and then coming in up to the etheric. And so, but this is really important. This is part of the journey of working with crystals, is to get your hands sensitive and awake, and you'll be able to then connect better to those stones. So we've been going through the different energy centers. I call them energy centers. They are also known as chakras. But I use energy centers because of my training. And so this is the crown energy center. This is what's on the top of your head. This is, if you've ever felt like someone's putting their hand on your head, usually not, this is a negative way kind of thing. If you feel like someone's putting their hand on your head and you don't feel, it doesn't feel right. It may be that static, it may be that noise has collected in that area. You can sensitize your hands and comb it out and remove it, flick, always flick, and let it go. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, go back a little bit. We started with the Earth Star, which is the energy center that's below our feet. And then we went through, this is, I work through 9 energy centers. This is in most knowledge, or most commonly found, is the 7. And so this is the top. Now, if you remember, the green is that balance point, and sort of there's a connection between your root energy center and your heart energy center. There is a connection between your heart energy center and your crown. There's this, it's the balance. Those are the ones on the ends. And so there's a connection between the two. So some of the information that I'm sharing will have a heart issue, may have a heart issue in terms of energy. It may have a heart feel to it, and that's because there's that balance. So the crown energy center, or chakra, does not have specific systems or organs attached to it. It does have an overall well-being in your body, but when it's open, that then that well-being can cascade down and around you. There is some connections between, as I said, there is a little bit to do with the nervous system, and that nervous system, one of the things, the crystals that we're going to be working with, crystals that are to do with the crown, a lot of them help with anxiety. A lot of them help with processing stress, being able to process it through. And so there is that sort of that nervous system. And remember, the brain, the brain is very much part of that nervous system. It is, we have our spine, and this is the top. And so all the nerves run along that line. It is one of the main threads with the crown, is that it is the opening to the deeper realms, the higher spiritual connections that are in the planet, and that are maybe not from the planet, but it is that opening first, that sort of spiritual aspect of things. They many times practitioners will, if this is open and clean, it allows the rest also to be open and clean. And so it is part of that work that comes when you clean this out. It allows for that balance. Some of the words that go with this center are, it is about consciousness and higher consciousness. It's about, there's a lot of intuitive and psychic ability growth that occurs from this energy center, which Jordy should be very happy. But that's where
I am.
If you're trying to become more clairvoyant, or you're trying to be able to trust yourself more, this crown energy center can be a huge asset in getting connected to those different senses. When we talk about clairvoyance and we talk about the clairs or psychic ability, this is my belief. This is not set in stone. My belief is that we are born with them. They are part of the human system. And so we are taught by our upbringing, by our parents, by society, that you can't see anything there. There's nothing there to see. I don't know what you're talking about. I can smell emotions. I can smell feelings. And, for a long time, I thought everybody did. I didn't realize that I didn't. And then I was told that no, someone being over emotional, which can smell a bit, to me, a bit like cat pee, that no one else can do that. And I was like, oh, okay. I was old enough at that point not to press it, because that's when you get, that's another way that you can become crushed. And that's not what we want. What we want is to be able to open things up. Having your crown clean and open allows for the flow up from your lower centers and then up and out. Some of the words that go with the emotional system in the crown are peace, serenity, the integration of knowledge and wisdom, because knowledge can be very sterile. Wisdom is then moving it into a more lived, a more active and more, a more active. So there is that connection. So that connection to the divine. When people talk about guides or angels or bigger connections, this is one of the places that if it's open, you can have that connection. You can have that conversation. You can have that area so that you can continue to grow.
Are you muted just for me? Is that my doing?
Can you not hear me?
Are you muted? Is anyone else? Can anyone else hear?
I can hear
I
you.
can hear it just fine, Jordy.
It might
I
just
can
be
hear
me. I'll
everybody.
figure it out. Sorry.
Am I muted?
No, I can hear you.
No,
Okay.
I can hear you.
I don't want to go back and do that again because I already forgot. So at a spiritual level, the crown is very much to do with spiritual awakening. Many times we've heard the term enlightenment, and this is like working towards that kind of connection, that kind of not all knowing, because that's not quite right. That sort of systemic easement, that systemic where you have your whole system is able to respond. And so that's part of the spiritual aspects of this, obviously spiritual guidance. And then also there's a feature with the crown, which is it can help you. More work that you do, the more that you try to keep it clean and keep it open, is you'll begin to feel more authentic. You will be able to see what has been put on you and then what is actually you. That's really important, because as you grow and develop, then having those abilities to know who you are, to search for your true and underlying nature, which everybody has. It's just a matter of finding those balances. So the crown can be able to help with that. And then anything else with an impact on the nervous system. So again, back to the nervous system, just to backtrack for a few minutes. The nervous system connects to the whole body. Everything has a nerve connection. And it is, the more that you're here and the more that you can ground in yourself, the more likely you will be able to settle your nerves. You'll be able to feel that release of anxiety that can happen through life. So that's to do with the Crown Energy Center. Next week, we will be doing one that people don't know so much about, and it's called the Cath Star. And it's in your aura, it's not on your body. And we will do a whole kind of quick rundown from the Earth Star to the Cath Star, so that there's that whole system connected together. But that's for next week. So I want to talk about color, because as we know, each center has had a predominant color. That does not mean it won't. If you pick up a white stone, which is not necessarily known as protective or grounding, all crystals are grounding, by the way, but if it's not protective, but if you pick that stone up and it feels protective for you, then it is protective. It is providing a protection for you. So no one agrees. And so when I'm going to go over the crystals that I'm going to go over, what I've done is I've gone through a bunch of different books and sort of found the trends that go with the crystals, because you will find, if you own more than 2 books on crystals, that they contradict each other, or they don't always jive. And so you have to trust yourself. I'm sorry, I thought I turned that off. You have to trust yourself, and you have to, I sort of I have some people that I really like. And it is, I go between them and use them as a balance to get the information for the stones. But I'm going to first go over the color. So it is the color white and violet. And I hope everybody likes my violet hair instead of my normal purple. So white and violet are 2 of the main colors. Purple also has a connection to it. There are purple stones that can go between the third eye and the crown and that work together. So if you're reading something or you hold something that's purple and you feel like it's to do with the crown, and it absolutely has a connection. But white and violet and clear are the main the main connections to it. White's interesting because in the Western culture, it is seen as purity and innocence and cleanliness. But I know in China, it's seen as grief. So when someone passes or transitions, then they wear white. So it's just an interesting dichotomy where how different cultures translate colors. It again is white is very much about growing intellectually, mentally, spiritually at that level. White has that connotation with it. Spiritual awakening, different overall healing. Like it is, we've never spoken about the clear crystal for the most part, clear quartz. That's known as the master healer. Now, clear quartz can actually, you can program it to work for anything. You can make it work for anything that you need it to work for. If you have kidney issues, then you can use the clear quartz with that. So white is very much a systemic, even though it is to do with the crown. Violet, historically, violet was very rare. Getting something was getting violet, color violet was very, very difficult. And so it was seen as nobility. It was seen as Jordy. Someone's unmuted. Sorry. If everybody can check and make sure they're muted, that would be great. So violet has that again. It's on the frequency. If we think about visual frequency, violet is where we start to not be able to see color. It is at the higher, I guess it's a higher end, higher frequency. I'm not great chemistry and that kind of aspect of things, but it is where our vision starts to not work as well as that color, which makes sense because this is where we are looking at spiritual awakening. We're looking at our the mental aspects of things are coming in. So violet has that connection. It's I have divine consciousness and enlightenment, which we spoke about earlier. And then it is very much to do with spiritual transformation. White, anything to do with the crown, you're talking about very much trying to grow spiritually. Now, I just thought of this, but it's really important that people not feel that they have to get a grip on their root before they move up. You work with all of them as you do your work. There may be trauma from your root or trauma from your heart. That is not going to stop you from being able to do the spiritual work. Do you need to do some work on that in that center or in that area? Absolutely. But it's not going to stop your spiritual development. You need to just keep doing the work and your spiritual development will continue. All right. Am I going too fast? I feel like I'm going too fast. Okay.
Not at all. You're doing great.
I'll take that as I'm doing all right. So I was called for 3 stones this morning. I really wanted to get a violet or purple stone, but it just didn't I didn't call. As most of you know, what I do is in the morning when I wake up on class day, I choose the stones that call to me for that day. So I don't do this work a couple days ago and plan it out. I plan out what my framework, but I choose the stones on the day. And so all the stones that I've chosen are white. I think. Now, many times people have stones similar to the ones or the same stone around them. It's very strange, but many people do. So I'm going to tell you what the three are, and then we'll go back and start. So one of the stones that we're going to work on is white calcite. Calcite's a really big family, and it has it has a frequency that goes through all of them, but the color then is part of how it works. So we're going to do white calcite. We're going to do scolecite, which is really super. I don't know if you guys can see anyway, it's one of my favorite stones. Interesting. I actually like all these stones. And then
Hey, Tanya.
Yeah.
I was gonna just ask, can you spell that last one in the chat? Sorry.
Oh no, scolecite?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it site? Hang on, it wants to change it, of course. Okay, scolecite's here. So we're going to start with white calcite. And then when we get to apophyllite, I'll spell apophyllite as well. So white calcite does carry the frequency of all the calcites, but it is also got very much the benefits of being white and very much the benefits of being, I was going to say color is like many times is an impurity or a different mineral that gets into it and causes color. And then this has less. It doesn't have something to make it green or something to make it blue or orange. Sometimes it's UV reactive and sometimes it's not. I know that there's some calcites that are very reactive and there's other ones that are kind of reactive, just so you know. Now, white calcite is very good for detoxification and systemic physical healing. So like if you're sick and for example, you have a cold and you have the body aches, that's a systemic kind of thing, and this can help. Now, as everybody knows, this is complementary. Please don't stop taking your medications and use crystals. This can help. This can be it can make a difference, but please don't stop taking your medicine. That would not be useful, especially if you've got something very major like diabetes, or don't mess with it. The stones can help, but don't mess with it. So I was doing some research today about the white calcite, and so it has the whole systemic healing, but it also assists with in-depth fear, like fear that you've had for a really long time. And it also touches on grief. So I think of specific stones for grief. I think of Apache tears and howlite. And if you don't have them, but you have white calcite, it will work to help ease that grief. Obviously, grief doesn't go away. You just learn how to handle it and how to, hang on one second. Okay, good. Yeah, you learn how to handle it. It is supposedly, I found it to be so to enhance one's memory. Hang on one second, people. So yes, so it can help with memory, and it can help with overcoming mental blocks. So if you find, like, if you have, and all three of these are very, very similar in their abilities. They have different feels to them, but they are very similar in what they touch on. It really is, if you find scolecite rocks your boat, then it will give you what you need. It is not, there are some stones that are very connected to something specific. The white stones very much come across the board. White calcite helps, again, going with the memory, it helps with memory, but it also helps with breaking through mental blocks. I wouldn't be surprised if this would be, actually, it doesn't say anywhere, but I'm going to say that if you have writer's block or painter's block or craftsman block, whichever kind comes up, that this would be a really good stone to work with, because it's going to help you get through what has been going on inside for where you no longer feel like you can create what you want, what you are trying to create. All of the stones today have that creative aspect, but calcite has a very good job of getting through mental blocks and works really well for that. So that would be something, if you're running into it, that would be something to consider. Now, this is,
Tanya,
yes,
hi. So, is this especially true of calcite in general, or especially true of white calcite?
I was gonna ask that question too.
so the mental blocks are going to be much more the white calcite.
Okay.
But if that mental block is coming from a heart issue, an imbalance in the heart, then green calcite would work a charm.
So creativity though.
Oh no, the creativity is very, I think it's much more to do with the white.
Okay.
So that mental block.
Okay.
And okay, I keep going.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely. And so environmentally, this is really good to help cleanse and purify energies in a room, in a place, in a home. You know, people talk about wanting protection, and many times the counsel is to put black tourmaline in your corners. But if you're working at your desk and you get mentally fuzzy sometimes, or you get mentally overwhelmed, then having a piece of white calcite there would be very, very useful. Just remember to clean it. This is one of the things about taking stones to work, is that sometimes you've got to remember to bring them home and clean them and then take them back. So that's white calcite. Let me see if there's anything that's, yeah, purify energy. It also helps create a serene and harmonious atmosphere. All of these stones have that work towards everything working in balance. Like like the green, as I said before, there's a connection between the green and the crown, the heart and the crown, is that it is trying to make it so that they all work together in harmony. All right. So there is that. Now we will go on to apophyllite. Hang on. I will be good. I'll do it now. Okay. Okay, apophyllite. Thanks, Jordy. I got it. All right. So apophyllite is one of the words that I found a couple times was influence. So influencers are a term that we have these days for people that try to influence you to do something. So apophyllite, is that clear? Can you see it? Apophyllite is one of the words that came up a couple times was influencing. So if it has that aspect to influence the rest of your system. I don't know if it would be influencing other people. That's not something that I would know about. I'm too busy trying to take care of myself that I don't worry about putting stones on other people. But it is associated with helping reduce anxiety. Remember, I said that we get anxious because we think too much. We think about the future, and apophyllite's really good at sort of calming that mental noise, aka anxiety. It can really calm that down. It can really smooth that out. It is. And then another one like calcite is then, it also helps with fear. It's a good stone. I think it's a good stone to have near by your bed, so that when you have those moments, when you're thinking too much and you have those moments where you tie yourself in a knot or you make yourself anxious, I think, which we all do. We get noisy brain. This is a really great stone to hold and to be able to help calm that down. I have some big ones just because I've been lucky to get them. I also have a couple of little pieces. There's this really cool thing that happens with the apophyllite, which I'm never doing because I wouldn't want to destroy it and damage it. But if it heats up, so it's got much more of a square kind of, it doesn't look the same as a clear. It's kind of more squarish building kind of thing. But it is said that if you heat it up, they fold out. And that's one way you can find out the difference. Not willing to try that one. I'll use a pendulum instead. And then here's apophyllite. Many times comes in green or has a green tint, which again talks to that crown heart connection. This is another big piece that I have that I love, and it has, I don't know if you can see, it has a slight green tint in the middle, and yeah, just pointing that one out. It is, hang on one second, folks. Okay. It's again used for spiritual awakening. It is used for promoting your psychic and your clairs. It's a really good stone to work with if you're working on that. If you are, it's a lovely stone to meditate with. For me personally, this is too big. I would use a smaller piece like this, or I have a little one that I use just because it connects and I'm sensitive. The more work you do with crystals, the more sensitive you become to their frequencies and to their, I don't know, I was going to say size, but how much you can take in. So it is definitely something to be aware of. So according, sort of looking at it environmentally, no, I want to go back, step back. Looking at the clairs, that's really important. Looking at your psychic ability. Apophylate's really great to be able to help you feel them, become aware of them. If you are a meditator, or if you are one of these people that meditates while you're doing something, because not everybody can sit comfortably. Many times people do things, iron, or even doing the dishes. If you have a piece of apophyllite in your pocket and you allow that to come into your system, then it's going to help you trust your intuition. It's going to help you trust your abilities. It's also good for connection with, whether it's spirit guides or angels or higher power, whatever term works for you. It is one of these stones that's really good to help that communication, to help you listen to yourself, which I think is really important, because we have so many voices that come at us, and we have a negative voice that sounds just like us, which is not us. We need to be more aware of the positive voice that comes, that is us. Again, this is talking about being authentic, being getting back to one's true nature, which we talked about with the white calcite. I'm talking about it with the apophyllite as well. So it has that being true to oneself. And obviously, the more true you are to yourself, the more the more authentic that you can find yourself and work through. The more your instinct, your gut, your intuition, whatever it is, the more that will play a part. The more that will have an aspect to in your life. Because when you're true to yourself, and this is where the crown really is important, but when you're true to yourself, your system starts to work as a system, not as a bunch of different places. Works as a system. And so being true to yourself is really, it's hard work, but it's really good. And then always remember, if you hear a voice that sounds like you and it says you're a piece of shit, that is not your voice. Sounds like you, you've heard it a lot, but it's not you. It's absolutely not you. Because in growth as a person, we do not, those negative things don't play a part. We grow as a person to become true. We grow as a person to become connected and not beating ourselves up. And that doesn't have a place. Okay, so did I do squalosite? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. I did squalosite. No, I didn't. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. I have to say that going to the gem show yesterday has taken a bit out of me. I'm spelling this. No, I spelled it.
You did spell it,
but I didn't talk about it.
not yet. But I
Oh.
also wanted to ask you if you got my papagoite, but we can talk about that later.
Okay, let's talk about that later. And no, I didn't. So scolecite, again, like the other white and clear crystals, has that aspect of influencing, has the aspect of the benefits that are strengthening our belief system in a positive way, not the shitty voice, but in a positive way. This scolecite is really good to hear your voice truthfully, hear your voice that's authentic. And so that's the key with scolecite. I have a necklace that I wear. I cover it. I keep it in my shirt, but I have a necklace that I wear to remember to stay true to myself, because so much of our expectations that are put upon us are not true to ourselves. Unfortunate. So at a physical level, one of the benefits of scolecite is to help with insomnia, is to help with sleeping. So it's an awesome stone to put under your pillow to help with that. Obviously, you will put that intention into the stone. You will program it in, and it can be very helpful. And I've had insomnia. I'm very, very blessed that I don't have it like I did. But part of what happens is your brain starts to go into overdrive, and then you can't shut it down to get to sleep. And so this is a stone that can help calm the mental noise so that you can stay asleep, get to sleep, be asleep. So it's one of the things that's very unique about this stone. It is a very relaxed, again, so we think about we think about sort of like the different qualities that come with it at an emotional level. This is a very provides inner peace and relaxation. It's also known to help release emotional baggage. So yes, many times we think of emotions, we think of our heart, but it gets up in our head. Those emotions that are not always healthy get up in our head. And so this is a stone that'll work with the crown to help release some of the emotional baggage, anxiety, and promote a balance, because it's coming down. It's going through the system. It is also known to help, again, reach to the deeper parts, reach to the deeper part of our spirituality that we may not have got to, that we are on our way to, that the journey is part of. This can help get there. It helps mental clarity, it helps focus, and it helps concentration. And it's known, one of the quotes of it is the stone of transformation, because it helps break those emotional baggage and negative thought patterns. And that is why I brought up the whole thing about the voice that talks to us that sounds like us, that's not, right? Because that's a negative thought pattern that has gotten in. Someone told us and we believed them, and then it sounds like us. And this can help reduce that and start to shift your balances to a more balanced and not have those negative voices or feelings predominate. It's a good stone for meditation, and it'll help in terms of bringing you centered and grounded and back to oneself. And like the white calcite, it allows for when it's placed in your room or placed in the place where you work, it has a peaceful radiation to it. It has a peaceful and serene part that goes into the atmosphere around you. Again, if you take it to work, which is fine, make sure you take it home once in a while to clean it, because it will pick up stuff that's around. So those are the 3 stones that we covered today, along with the crown. I am going to stop the recording at this time, and then we can chat.